Hello everyone and welcome back to Art and Chat. Today's video is a continuation to my recycling my gouache paint leftovers. I posted that a few weeks ago, so I'll link it in the card and also in the description below if you guys want to see it. There will definitely be a bunch of spoilers in this video, so if you guys don't want to see it, I would suggest you go now to watch that first. It's not an art and chat, but it's a video showing you guys where we started and where we are now. Now for today's video, I'm going to be working on a spread. I'm taking my doodles and I'm creating a spread with them in my sketchbook because I have a great idea of how to repurpose these into a new artwork. To start, I'm going to measure and paint a border around my page. I'm starting on the right-hand side because that's usually the side I usually work in my sketchbook, so it just comes naturally to me to work on that side. I'm creating this black border as a foundation for my doodles. I want to create somewhat of a mosaic framed look to my page. So to do this, I'm using some tape that I cut down to 1/2 centimeter so that I don't have to measure out each space or gap that I have in between each piece of paper. Instead, I'm just taping in between them to figure out how far they need to be. Then I'm going in with my Elmer school glue stick to glue down these pages. First, I'm gluing the back of each one of these pages, and then I'm gluing down my border where it's gonna go, just to secure it. And then we're gonna peel the tape. It's definitely giving me that mosaic feel I wanted. It's definitely giving me a picture frame. But now it's time that I figure out what I'm putting in the middle of this page. I knew immediately when I was putting this together that I was going to do a picture in the middle. But I, as usual, didn't know what I wanted to put there. So I kind of had to brainstorm a little bit. I ultimately decided I really wanted it to be a nature theme or an animal of sorts. And then I had to choose what animal and what nature scene. So being that we're still in summer, I decided to do a bird. And the bird I chose was a flamingo. Because what doesn't scream summer more than a flamingo? So that's what I'm gonna do. I started making my sketch based on a reference photo I found on Pixabay. Now, I love Pixabay. I love them for my references. And there is some amazing photographers on there. So I'm gonna leave a link to this image in the description below. If you guys use this image, show a little love to this photographer for creating this amazing image and donate to them. Let's support other artists. Of course, that's only if you can. I know I'll be doing it and I hope you guys do the same. And just so you guys know, I'm not affiliated or sponsored in any way. Although I do like to dabble in photography from time to time. Now moving back to the art, now that my sketch is finished, I'm going back in with my zebra fine liner in the shade Deep Pink to really define and start inking my flamingo. First, I go in around the eye to get some definition and to create some depth. Then, I'm gonna go into the beak. There's a bunch of wrinkles right around the face area that I see on this flamingo, and it has a good amount of texture, almost like a turkey. So I'm trying to replicate that just to add a little bit more dimension and a little realism, I guess. So I'm outlining that, and everywhere that I want this flamingo to be a little bit more pronounced. Like most birds, flamingos don't necessarily have a lot of defined feathers around their face and beak. So I'm going for more of a furry-like texture, but I'm going to define some areas like around the top of the head, the back of the head, the lower part of the jaw around the beak, and just give some more definition and shape it more like a feather would be. I guess you can say we have finally reached the ugly phase, but bear with me and hang in there. We'll get through this. Next, I'm going to be going in with my zebra fine liner in the shade Purple to add some dimension, some depth, some shading, and some darkening around the beak and the eye. At this point, I'm starting to stylize more than rely on my reference too much. I am making all the marks and shapes and definition that I want to appear on my drawing. I've kind of stopped looking at the reference at this point because I'm adding the shading where I want it to go. That I am finished with my inking process, it's time to really bring this bird to life and start coloring it. So the first thing I'm going to do is go in with this Derwent Artist Pencil, and this is the lightest color I'm going to be using. It's Oyster. I'm going to be using this color to lighten the areas that are the lightest. Now this Arctic color, I'm also going to use it to lighten, but I'm really using it as a blending color mostly to lighten the areas of the beak that I want highlights, to lighten the areas of the eye that I want highlights. It's not super white. It's actually a white that looks as if it's mixed with blue. So that's what I'm doing with that. On the opposite end, I'm first going to be going in with this midnight blue color to darken my areas. Now this isn't going to be the darkest color I use, but this is a nice mid-tone to start with darkening. I don't want to go dark too fast. I want to build up my layers and slowly darken. So this is going to be my shadow color. It's going to be what I shade the beak with. It's going to be what I shade the face with. So that's what I'm going to do. And it looks like somebody forgot to film them going in with their darkest color. Oops. Let's just pretend you see me using this Raven Derwent Artist Pencil to darken. It's about that time that we need to add that signature pink color that flamingos are known for. So I'm going to be going in with my Faber-Castell Golden Faber and the color 125, and I'm just going to be adding the pink where it looks most pink in my reference. Because flamingos are actually white and their food causes them to turn this pinkish color, they tend to have a variation of very light pink or almost white looking feathers, and then in some areas they're darker pink. So I'm mostly making this flamingo dark on the beak where it's more pronounced, and then lightly going in where the feathers and the face and the neck is, to make it just a gentle pink. I also don't want to lose too much of my ink work because it adds most of the texture in this. It's the background time. So for this background, I decided that I was going to do green leaves because why not? I love the look and it's a beautiful contrast for the pink. So I'm going to be using 3 different shades of green. 2 of them are going to be from my Faber-Castell Golden Faber set. The shades are 166 and 163. The 3rd shade of green I'm going to be using is from my Derwent Artist set. It's called Forest. This is going to be the darkest color I use in the background, and I like it because it adds a little bit of contrast, because I'm going to make this background pretty simple because we have so much going on in the rest of this page, from the doodles to the flamingos, from the shapes, you know. I want to keep it fairly simple and keep the star of the show, the flamingo. I'm going in with those to add the shapes of leaves, and then I'm just going to add some shading to them so that they're more pronounced, they're more defined, and they're not just very faded in the background. I wanted this to be a slightly more saturated. After the first pass of color, it wasn't as saturated as I wanted it to be, and I didn't really care for how light the leaves looked. So I went back over them and added more dimension after I added the background, which is this light blue color that is so pretty. It's called 147. Now that the background's done, I had to add a little bit of a shadow around the flamingo to really make it pop out. So I used this color that's called 120. It's a dark blue. I would say it's almost an ultramarine color. and I added a shadow just around the bottom of my flamingo and around the little bit of neck that's peeking through. Now for the last thing that I need to do, I'm adding some square borders in the open spaces that I have around my doodles. I had some gaps that I didn't want to add any extra paper or extra doodle paper to. So instead I added some frames. It gives it somewhat of a classic look and I like it. It's sweet, it's simple, it's nice. Here's how it came out. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below and let me know if you would like to see an art and chat of the left side of my page. And as always, thank you for watching.